All right, so again, I had no plans of reacting to this at all, but everybody came in my chat yesterday when this was live. Normally, we react to it right after it comes out, but guys, this is a Q&A on UI. I love that they call them features because it's like, it's UI. And that's most of the patch, so it's understandable, but yeah, we also got the golden kappa emote if you're seeing that in chat. The I wasn't planning on watching this at all, and everybody kept coming to my chat yesterday. Did you see? Did you see? Did you see? And I'm not really sure what we're looking for here, but I was not planning on watching this, to be perfectly honest. But here we are.
Oh, that's the wrong camera. There we are.
That was the right camera.
Gabe, start the show.
Hello. Welcome.
That was actually the right camera.
Who are you?
All right. The show's great. The show's great already.
I'm Gabriel Hector.
And what do you do?
I'm a systems designer at the Manchester office for CIG.
And you're going to host this week's show?
Yeah, that's the plan. So, Jared, who are you and what do you do?
Nice.
Cloud Imperium Games.
Oh, thanks, Gabe. I'm Jared.
Brother, what the fuck is this thing on his desk?
I don't know what I'm in charge of. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live. We're by ourselves today. David, who you sometimes hear me shout out to, is feeling under the weather today. So we've set up, we've literally moved the control stuff over here. So I have to do everything for the show. So we'll see how.
This is Jared actually being a streamer. Let's see if he can do it.
The last time I did it like this was the Big Invictus All Vehicles Roundtable last year, and I managed to pull that off. There was more people, so yeah, it should be fine. Hi, welcome to Star Citizen Live. I'm Jared. This is the show at the end of the week where we grab a bunch of our developers and we...
He really likes the toy. Oh, I can only imagine what's
take your questions, we put them to them, and they
filled
answer
with Jared
your
cringe,
questions,
I'm sure.
And we learn all about this wonderful project we're working on, Star Citizen. Joining us on the show this week are esteemed members of the UI feature team. We've got Gabe, we've got Bone, we've got Zane, and we've got Emily. Hi, everybody.
And the camera's focused on what did we learn, by the way.
Hello.
Hi. So, Gabe, you've already done your intro. You're not technically on the UI team, but you're a designer, system designer on the PU and squadron teams. You help.
Yeah, and I have a lot of focus on UI features all over the place. I've got my finger in everything, and I'm annoying these guys a lot.
So, Bone, we'll start with you. Tell everybody who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
Hello, I'm David Bonegill. Everyone calls me Bone, as I may have mentioned before. I'm a technical director for the UI on Star Citizen and Squadron 42.
Okay. Zane, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Zane. I'm a UI developer, programmer, designer, and I don't really know what my title is at any given time. I'm supposed to be on core tech, but I haven't touched that in a while, so I just do everything. And I've been lately working on the map system.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you and I are in the running for the most number of titles that we've had in the time here. It's constantly trying to figure out exactly where we fit in.
It's just my ambition to want to do everything. So.
Bone, tell us who Emily is.
Oh, blimey.
No,
Blimey,
Emily,
mate.
who are you and what do you do?
I'm Emily. I'm a UI programmer, predominantly at the moment. I'm working on the star map, so yeah, that's pretty much me.
Yeah, we are out of cameras. We need more cameras for more people. We're gonna try to upgrade the show here in a little bit. All right, so we took questions.
I don't know how they do things, but do you really need more cameras, or do you take the big screen and blow in? You're like streaming on Twitch, right? So if you take a 4K camera and you zoom it in a little bit to focus on just one person, it won't look bad.
questions from the community. We put them on, or we put a thread up on Spectrum. We gathered questions. We let you guys go through and pull the questions. We're just going to jump right into it.
I mean, they can't even focus their cameras. What are we talking about?
Because it's really hard for me to do all the multitasking stuff. All right, so right off the bat, first question. Yeah, this one.
They need new cameras.
Will we be able
focus the first
to
one?
select start zoom? We will be able to select start zoom of map. Okay, if I'm in the pilot seat, I would like it to start zoomed out in the system map. But if I'm standing in my ship, I would like it zoomed in on the world map. So basically, can they?
I think they fixed that in today's patch, correct? I saw that in the notes.
Set different zoom levels as default based on what situation they're in.
I think we agreed so much with this.
Yeah, I've actually been working on this week. Yeah, so now you will be able to sit in the ship and you'll open the star map and it'll open to the star map. And if you are anywhere else, it will open to the interior map if you have an interior map.
Beautiful.
We've also started the star map out further now, so when it will like zoom back out, so you get like a view of the sort of system that you're in a little bit more, rather than being like face up with a planet's texture. Another thing I've added is a keybind, so that if you're in the star map, you can just press that and go straight into the interior map. We don't have the other way yet, but we have that way.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, so it's hopefully going to work a lot more smoothly now, and you can be in the context you actually want to be in.
That sounds very cool.
Yep, great job.
I think before we jump in here, there's going to be a lot of conversation about, iterative development. There's this assumption that when a thing comes out, it's everything all at once. And anybody who's been paying attention to the development of Star Citizen over the years knows that that's not how it works. This is the next group of things, the group of features, the next functionality we can do, and then it will continue to evolve and iterate on subsequent patches. So we'll hear some variation of that answer quite a bit tonight. Question 2, do you plan to add filters on the interior maps and star maps so we can easily find specific POI?
So yeah, this is obviously...
They are already there, are they not?
Something that we do want. So it's in the designs, it's in the documents, but it's not maybe the top priority right now.
It's just on the left side.
Get this stuff just working as good as possible, and then we'll just have to.
Do they mean like a search, like how the star map has it? Probably. That's probably what they mean.
Prioritize after that.
Obviously not an extensive list, but what kind of filters off the top of your head were we thinking about?
So it's essentially what you see as the amenities. So for anyone who's been playing the PTU, you've seen that now that when you use the star map, you can click a location and then you get a list of amenities there. So you can see, oh, I can buy ships here. So essentially we would reverse that, and you could say, I want to buy a ship, where can I do that? Rather than having to go through every single place and then see, oh, I can buy a ship there. So it's gonna make it way nicer.
Ah, okay.
But yeah.
I mean, the other thing for like the interior maps, like it's pretty much just showing like room labels and stuff. But like in the future, we're gonna have a lot more amenities that are pointed out on it, like icons depicting like here's where you buy weapons, here's where you retrieve your ship, or whatever it is that's going to be useful. Then we'll have filters based on those categories.
Okay.
But that's in the future. We need to do some more kind of back end work for that.
Yeah, I imagine.
I mean, whatever.
Many of these features that are coming in 3.3 were first developed for Squadron, and then are being brought over to the PU. And the PU requires a lot of additional functionality that perhaps Squadron, doesn't. Squadron's, this big sprawling single-player game.
Jared's focused on his laptop on this cam as well.
In a massively multiplayer, persistent universe with multiple star systems and stuff, there are far more considerations that need to be taken. So yeah, this first version will go in. It'll have a lot of limited functionality, and then it will continue to evolve.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that we've added on as part of this process of bringing it over from Squadron, where it was this thing that was suited for Squadron specifically, and then it goes into Star Citizen, and it immediately needs so much more. So what started out as just move it into Star Citizen has become quite a task. But
so many
I
wheels to
think
reinvent.
I guess
Nothing that they're saying right now is reinventing a wheel. It's putting a feature in the game that players need, and then reacting to the needs of the players to improve that feature. That is not reinventing the wheel. Reinventing the wheel is, I'm trying to think of situations where CIG has done that maybe. Off the top of my head, which is hilarious because they've done it so much, I can't think of one. But yeah, that's just not reinventing the wheel. And like we say, this is really good. Yeah, maybe the way they've done some inventory things. Yeah, I think that's a bit of reinventing the wheel.
Not respect. It's also accelerated the robustness. Like for the maps, for example, it's the fact that we need to get it in PU and working all properly with all the different systems is. It's also going to go back into Squadron as well. So it's not just Squadron going into PU. It's also very all the stuff that we've done is very general, and so it'll also benefit Squadron as well.
That's good. That's not a point we often. Oh, look. Wow, David, why don't we use this? Sorry, I just discovered a toy. Usually it's David at this thing. No, you make a good point. The work on these features, you know, like I said, all the work for Squadron serves the PU, but like it did before, and like it will continue to do, this work will still funnel back up the stream, back into Squadron and stuff. So Bo Discovered Technology says, I discovered a fun thing. Look at this. Look at this. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being easily amused. Those people are generally happier than most others. Okay, we've got several questions about pins. One of the more exciting aspects that we reveal is that you can finally, you know, set pinpoints, markers on the verse.
I would argue that is not a feature that is in the game yet. You are able to do a pin. Cool. Now make it useful. like most of Star Citizen's game, that is definitely like a gameplay feature for me, and it isn't useful yet, but when it is, it's going to be one of the most important features that they ever put in this game.
First question is, will our map pinpoint markers that we drop be persistent if we log out and log back in the next day?
That's definitely the plan, yeah, but there's a lot of back-end work that we need to look into, and especially with server meshing coming in. So a thing that happened for
they don't persist though, right?
Work that we've been doing is that we started talking about, okay, we want to get these pins in as part of the star map now, and you should be able to place them, and
but they're going to need to
people and all of that jazz. But then we looked into it, and well, it was quite hard to do, and we're getting server meshing, so everything's gonna change, and it just wouldn't work with with the future.
The technical challenge.
I think instead of saying it the way that he just did and getting you guys pissed off, it's it really just is, we're getting server meshing. When it comes in, we'll build it once we know what the server meshing architecture looks like for us. So that's what it sounds like. That's what the answer sounds like to me. And yep, put server meshing in, and
is immense.
Then we'll do it.
Like the pin itself, like drawing a pin on the map, fine.
Yeah.
Persisting it and in this sort of super
Whiskey, take a break, okay?
Structure that we have is tricky to say the least.
That's not to say we won't work on it. Just
no, we're working on it. Yes, it's just it's not that straightforward.
No. Okay. So, will we be able to share the locations that we save from the star map with other players?
Yeah, for sure. That's part of the vision again. So you should be able to share so we can see in 323 you can place the markers on the area.
This guy's
map,
so quiet
in the future,
compared to everyone else.
Be able to place them on the star map, and those should be the same kind of thing. You have a list of all your markers that you placed, and you should be able to share them with your party and so on. But it will, as I just said, we will need to look into the tech of it and see how that actually works out.
Yeah. It's something that they're going to do. It's a solution they need to solve, but it's not something they're thinking about right now. So we should stop talking about it.
And then,
well, we shouldn't stop talking about it, but we I think we should stop thinking it's coming in 323.1, right?
Last of the... Oh, no, that's Bone. See, playing with the toys. Will we be able to set pins in space?
I think that's kind of answered now, but yes. So star map, area map, place the pins wherever you.
Oh,
pick.
like in like an arbitrary bit of space.
Yeah.
Like just,
Yeah. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't break gameplay if we allow players to just actually quantum travel there. That's something we'll also have to look into.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of neat. Place a marker, go there,
spring a trap.
meet up.
Yeah. Very important. Like, don't underestimate how important that feature is. Like, Jared's goofing around and everything, but like sitting there and listening to him say that's like one of the key features for org gameplay, interacting with people that you like, meeting up with people maybe that you've never heard of or met before. Like, hey, you know, hey, I need help with the Xeno threat or whatever. And oh, no, it's just Jared Meyer. Today, the guy's sick that he normally does it with, he said. But yeah, just like, hey, I need help or whatever, right? This is huge stuff here that's really, really important.
Okay, I'm going to play a little bit. Sorry, listen to the words. The words are what matter.
Yeah, but like the thing is Jared's playing at a time that it's like a really important feature that people really care about. And yeah, like read the room a little bit there, I guess. So when he must be reading the chat and people are getting pissed off, and I think rightfully so. You got to recognize, and I'm sure he does, the importance of videos like this for the community, because CIG just does things and there's only one opportunity to be like, yo, excuse me, how does this work?
What progress has been made on UI elements to assist with landing ships from the first-person pilot seat view? For example, have we considered holographic extensions of the landing pad or hangar door boundaries, ATC flight?
Well, this person must be new.
Flight tunnels, landing cameras, directional proximity sensors, alerts, radar LiDAR scan, MFDs, pilot's visors. Like, we've had a couple different things over the course of our development. Where are we going?
Yes.
Yeah, like all of the above,
Look right
probably.
at the camera and say yes.
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate?
Oh, no.
Bones is so awesome.
Emily might have some answers.
I was just stealing her thunder a little bit.
Yeah, so there are a lot of like plans and a lot of thoughts that we have. We obviously want to have like use the AR sort of space for.
But yeah, like they have lots of plans and lots of thoughts, and just like the star map, they're gonna and just like they've done in the past with some things, they've done some things. We didn't like them as much. They pulled back on them, and they're gonna try some other I think this is obvious stuff.
Markers, have like if you're going into a hangar, have like a gate bracket so that you sort of know the bounds of where you're trying to go. A like ladder sort of system, so you have like a guide to where you're trying to go. And then also we want to make use of the radar display that you have as well to actually utilize the area map tech again to display your ship and like the ground underneath you, and then obviously if you have a landing pad, it will
Drake 2D UI for landing.
show you your landing pad, and if you
Wonder
don't
what that
have a
looks
landing
like.
pad and you're just trying to land anywhere, it'll have like a line with a shadow kind of thing, and it will sort of guide you to whether you can land there, you know, whether it's flat enough, that kind of thing. So these are the sorts of things that we're thinking about doing with that.
And that'll tie into
It's a ball on a string.
how we want to show terrain and things like that in our map system, because that's, you know, I want that to be a thing.
Are there any challenges with that presented by the server meshing and everything? I mean, obviously, most times your landing stuff will just be there where you're at. But is there any, you know, like how far out can you go? Is there other concerns that you won't be able to read parts in another shard or whatever?
Why do they want to keep adding things that no one asked for? If you're talking about this question, literally everyone is asking for this except for you. You might be the only one who's not. Just so you're aware.
No.
You are in the minority.
You want to look? Nope. They're like,
Nobody wants to go third person, and again, I'm not speaking for everyone when I say nobody. I'm more speaking for myself. I don't want to go in third person to land ever. I never want to go into third person unless I'm taking a screenshot. That's it. Okay?
That's the thing we always find out in the last moment.
Well, I mean, like the geometry for.
And I don't think I'm in the
planets and
minority
stuff
here. Type 1 in chat if you agree.
Streamable, but yeah, when you start talking about being able to see other players, you know, other locations and stuff, and whether they're exactly on your server and all this kind of stuff, that's the stuff that gets complicated.
But
A lot of first-time
interesting
chatters.
thing to mention is
Never typed in this chat.
when we do
Took the time out to type 1 for that. All right?
account for, like in our map system, when we do account for things not always being streamed in, and, you know, maybe the spaceport on the other side of the city isn't streamed in, so you can't like really see it or whatnot. And if when we make that
This is an
work,
interesting question / answer.
across the board, regardless of streaming, the map should work regardless of whether things are streamed in or not. It should be totally independent of the entities that are existing. It opens us up to like look at maps of far away places anywhere that we've cataloged them.
Ooh,
so if you're on another
interesting.
planet, you can see, you know, you might be able to see
The
a
quiet
map
majority,
of what you've
exactly.
explored and not even be there.
Okay, cool.
So that's an interesting like byproduct of that, but
It's also something you need. If you go back to the question of the markers, somebody is going to be in a different server sharing a marker with you. Somebody might be in a different star system sharing a marker with you. You need to be able to see that marker on the map that you're in, right? These are things that need to function. It's just problems that they need to solve, but they kind of need the map first. And that's what we have. We have the map point. Then it is, let's make the map as functional as possible, right?
that it opens up, but you know, two benefits. And
Isn't that what the data layer is supposed to be for? Listen, man, I'm not a game dev. All I'm saying is these are things that we need to do. Okay, you're just sitting here complaining about how hard it is or how easy it is. I don't know if it's hard or easy. I don't care how easy or hard it is. I don't give a shit about game development, okay? I just want to play the game. That's it. And I want the game to be fun. And that is an important piece of the puzzle for it to be fun. I don't care about the data layer or anything you're saying. Sorry for getting one guide yet again. But, yeah, it's just like, come on.
So, sorry, chat doesn't notice. Yes, I'm playing.
I'm a dev, so that's why I'm commenting. Don't care. Like in this case, like actually don't care. Like the point, at least the points that I'm making are not relevant to game development. It's just relevant to would like to play the game. Right?
Let me have this. I don't usually have the control.
I appreciate you.
All right, so we had 6 questions, important questions, but you know, relatively softballs, if you will.
You know what I mean?
The big question here that I think most people have wanted to know. Not going to sugarcoat it. What's up with the UI being so holographic it can become unreadable at some times?
At some
What's up with
times.
that?
All the fucking time.
More. We want more.
What more
More
holographic?
holographic. Just
No.
put it all on there. Make it worse. I hope everyone saw the My Phone 900 years in the future meme. That was a good one.
It was good.
It was very holographic. Yes. So
No, you saw the meme.
I think.
We have a line to tread.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So we want it to look cool, right? But we want to be able to use it at the same time. So there's a balance to be had. Like we're not going to release something that looks like a vanilla web page, you know, that's just black on white, black text on white background for all the UI.
For sure.
Obviously, there's the extreme where you've got all this chromatic aberration and bloom and
which is kind of where we are now.
Effects and stuff going on, and it's not particularly readable and it's difficult on the eye. So we've got to find a balance where it looks cool and it's diegetic and it's in the world and it looks futuristic, but ultimately very usable. Like you've got to be able to use it and it's not got to be
See, like if it was realistic, it would be readable.
bad on the eyes.
If it was realistic, it would be functional.
No, and I think with the mobiGlas in particular, because I think that was maybe the worst offender in this case. It's supposed to be this holographic thing, so it got a bit over the top, and
we got overexcited.
Yeah, exactly. It can look even cooler, but no, we very much appreciate the feedback, and I think everyone's very happy with the results that we've got now, and it's coming out really well.
But we're still dialing that in
for sure,
to get the tone right.
It'll be a continuous process.
They've done a few changes to the UI that have made it look a bit better.
And there's also some graphical fixes that we've fixed recently as well. Like I think on some of the low res render to texture stuff, it's there's actually some color correction weirdness going on that the graphics team has fixed. So that's probably going to increase a little bit, like the brightness of some of the elements, because now the colors are consistent between low res and full res render to texture. And there's also some sorting issues that we need to work out into the system with regard to 3D planes and 3D objects. There's sorting issues that we've sort of fixed, but there's a proper solution we're going to do post 323.
Okay. Looking at. So it sounds like some of it is technical, some of it is bugs, things not working the way that they're intended.
Yes.
And then some of it is style. Some of it is pushing to find this happy medium.
Finding a balance of good art but good usability.
Because if there's a 3D plane in the world that's behind another, like the thing that's trying to render a drop shadow over or whatever, it's the thing that's over it, and when it's sorted incorrectly you're going to null out any of the benefits of.
So there might be drop shadows there, but we don't see them.
The drop shadow or whatever we put in. So.
And some of the diegetic UIs are in the world, so they receive the same world post-process effects. So like chromatic aberration and the bloom and all these kind of things. So it's trying to combat them sometimes to make things perfectly readable, but because we're doing a diegetic game, because these things in the world, you can't just sort of say, hey, don't apply these effects, because it would look really, really strange. It would look really out of place and like a game, rather than like a game as in like just putting stuff on it over the top of the screen after you've rendered the game world. We're not really after that kind of look. It's meant to look like it's part of the scene. So these, kiosks or even.
I love that you use the scene there. They've been very much in Squadron, huh?
Part of the game world.
I'm looking at the chat here while you folks are talking. I want to stay on this topic for a little bit longer. Some of the folks in chat, not just chat today, but I've seen YouTube comments and Spectrum comments and stuff. The common suggestion is, why don't you just start with readability and then add style later? And dial up. Well, it's this idea of start with a base and then build on top of it, instead of the sculptor approach, which start with all this and then start peeling back. There are benefits to both ways. Why do we do it the way we do it?
I think we do start with readability, but it's internally, right? That's not what the players get to see first, because we make our wireframe designs and we make it like, okay, this is what this mobiGlas app is doing, and this is how we want to interact with it, and that's all fine.
Okay.
So let's move on to the art pass, and then it's more, where can we get the coolness factor into this?
All right, yeah, but the coolness is it's not very cool.
And I think it's good that we're not like ashamed of that, and also that we can dial it back when we've done
coolness.
Something
apparently
wrong,
equals I can't
overboard.
fucking read it
But
anywhere. Yeah,
I think we do have a strong like visual identity with all of these different sci-fi styles and different brand styles and so on, and we are doing a good job of really pushing.
It's weird, though, if they actually played their own game, they'd see issues with the UI that players do, so they clearly don't. It's not their job to play the game, okay? Like, and it's not appropriate for us to be like, you should play your game. I think certain issues are happening that I think we're blaming the wrong people for not playing the game. So it is Q&A's job, and they have an entire department called Live QA. And Live QA's job is to play the game and highlight the issues to the developers internally. Be like, hey, I'm not a backer, right? I'm not some asshole on the internet. I am here to tell you this is your problem. I'm having a bad experience here. What do you think? Right? It's not just QA's job to highlight issues. That's also dev's job. Yes, but if a dev's job is to do the job all day, I'm not going to sit here as a backer of this game to yell at them to go home and play their game for 8 hours like somebody in chat does. Right? That's what the chatter is saying. Is if they enjoyed their game, it wouldn't take 8 hours.
For that, for keeping
I'm just gonna watch the video
and making
we want to
like
argue today for some reason.
World where all of these things exist, and yeah, sometimes it
I
makes
agree
for a lesser
that they should
user
play
experience,
more,
and that's obviously.
But the vibe from the community is you should enjoy the game as much as I do to experience all the problems that I do. I am not responding to you, caveman, but you still feel the need to chime in quite a bit
to improve that, and that's why we're super happy to get this feedback from players. But we never want to end up in a place where we just remove all the different styles and everything and just go, okay, here's the most legible font in the world, let's just put that right there in the best size, in the best place. Like, yeah, we it's always
they do live play tests in the studio.
I think a lot of the times it actually can start out like very having like a high level of contrast. So we've done an initial visual polish pass on it, and then we'll get very focused on actually doing all the functionality and, you know, like the holo volume changes to a window, and then, you know, we're doing all.
They just should not be defending the. They should just not be defending the readability of the UI at all.
All the functionality based on that.
They should have stopped at.
And
there's some bugs.
Just haven't had a visual polish pass until, you know, the end, because we're focused on sort of the back end, the code, and the functionality, like all the really base foundational stuff, and then you know, pretty much just near the end, we're starting to finally do much more of the visual polish pass again. So
there's this thing that happens.
They are being obtuse by saying it's a choice when it's clearly a problem. Any designer can jump in and tell them it's wrong. They're defending bad decisions. Yes, exactly. That's the weird thing here. Is they're defending obviously bad decisions. You don't need to play the game to notice these decisions.
I don't think I'm telling any story. I don't think I'm gonna say something. I don't think it's going to be any surprise to folks who followed the project for the decade and so. We worked to the last minute and then beyond.
Said it better than you because he's an actual designer.
That's kind of in the.
That's his job.
RSI, CIG, DNA. At that point, you know, there are lots of projects where you work on a thing and then you stop and you kind of go gold, and then it just kind of sits there for a while. You know, there's bug fixes and stuff. Marketing gets to come in and do their stuff. We put these things out, while they're still being worked on. That's what Evocati is. That's what PTU is. What players are playing right now. Even the live alpha is still alpha. It's still an unfinished a product. And I think a lot of times, just because I've seen the reaction, sometimes it's a lot of times.
This would be fine if we didn't rush things out because of ship sales. Nobody would argue this, but we are making decisions on when these things are released to players, not based off of when they are ready to be released to players.
Sometimes this thing goes out and it's like,
and they always
can we have just
ignore
another
that.
week or two to dial that in before it goes out and stuff. Does that drive you crazy? Is that just part of who we are and so like this? We're going off the reservation.
I think it's definitely part of who you are. And it's exclusive, like thank you for taking the process of game development with you. No, this is the process of Star Citizen's development. This isn't general game development. No chance. I know that there are deadlines of like, if we work on this patch forever, we need to move on to other features as well. So there is a deadline to get a patch out at some point. But the situations like what we're dealing with right now, the world we're living in right now, the world we lived in 3.18, the world we lived in through, I think it was 3.19 or 3.20 as well, we dealt with this. Every time there's a major ship sale, the patch is always really exciting for some reason. That's the one that gets absolutely murked because of the deadline that should never be a deadline.
Here a little bit, but talk to me about this. This is a very real phenomenon. It affects everything. Talk to me about how you deal with this.
No, it's for me. I guess it's quite exhilarating in a way, but I always wish there's just one more week. Just let me play around a little bit more with the materials. Let me maybe put some animation in, and make it a little more polished, or more feedback. Like right now, I need to put in the routing feedback. So when you press R, right now it silently fails, and you're like, why isn't it doing anything? So
also,
if you have that,
the routing goes backwards.
That's just a little bit
from the point you're routing to.
Makes it feel a bit more polished. Better. Yeah, it's 1%.
Yeah.
And then when you fix that, there's another thing you think, oh,
exactly.
It'd be cool if we put this in as well.
Right?
Yeah. So what Bone just said is why there actually has to be a deadline to get a patch out. Otherwise, they don't move off of 3.23 and they develop 3.23 forever. But if the deadline is artificial for a ship sale, that's where the problem lies, because this isn't I need a little bit of time. Like maybe with the UI, right? Because UI is okay right now. It's not great. It's not the worst it's ever been. But there are some other major, that's what causes like feature creep, right? I think if you just sit there the whole time, probably, again, not a game developer, don't know. But as a backer, what I see right now is not, I need one more week to put a sound in so you know when this thing fails. No, we need multiple weeks because the game is unplayable. I'm watching this now because I cannot play the game because it is in a never-ending death loop of crashes that have been happening since the first Evocati patch.
It never ends.
There's another thing.
You can always keep improving, and that's just the process of design, right? So if we kept adding this one more week all the time, we would just be driven insane and nothing would ever release. So
it happens in design too, obsessing over improving it, of course.
I don't know why. Whose battery? Yes. Oh, my battery's out? Oh. Hold on, everybody. I see the thing, so they're hearing me through somebody else?
Yeah, just.
That's Pete. Say hi to Pete. Oh, here. Hi, Pete.
Sure. Hello.
Down. Oh, wait, I have a scene for this. So, let's see. I'm back. Sorry. All right. So, let's stay on this topic of readability. Obviously, the hologram stuff we just got done talking about. One of the forever discussion points is...
If it's copyright, I'll just edit that out.
Color stuff, colorblind stuff. Just everybody in chat type drop shadow all at one time right now. Press F for drop shadow. One to drop shadow, just fix everybody. Let's fix everything. Talk to me about readability. What are we doing? What's going on here?
We just talked about it.
Readability. Yeah, it's not as straightforward to solve as we thought it would be. We have a constant battle with this. Partly
we just talked about this for 20 minutes.
Exposure compensation. When something's super bright, your eye adapts to that brightness and changes the brightness levels of the scene. Obviously, there's the problems of drawing some coloured text onto a black background, i.e. a starry night, and then all of a sudden you're on a snowy backdrop. How do you compensate for that? We've still got a few more irons in the fire, especially on vehicle hoods, about what we're going to do to solve this. And,
why is Bone not in focus? Because
I think what we've got on the lens now,
I don't know.
AR stuff, is really going in the right direction. It's Still needs tweaking, but we're pretty happy with that. But we've still got issues.
Phone's not in focus because it's cool. That's why.
With, like the head-up display that
This
are on
is
vehicles, and the exposure compensation on MFDs. We still need to look into, but
yeah, it's diegetic. It's in the world.
Exactly. It's weirdly tricky. The more diegetic you are, the more you sort of buy into the idea that these things are in world, and you're not cheating, and you're not just drawing over the top of the screen with some flat UI like you do for like I used to work on driving games years and years ago, and like you draw the world and you draw the car, and then you draw like a HUD flat over the top, and that would be like crystal clear, and you could see your lap time and stuff. Whereas this is entirely different, and the fact as soon as you put stuff in the world, obviously it's like it can be at angles, and the sun can shine on it, or a big shadow goes across it, and you know, even your mobile phone.
Yeah, but when the sun shines on it, you can't read it. And in the end, this is a fucking game.
Has a lot of exposure compensation to compensate.
It's a fucking game. Nobody wants the sun to shine on their shit so they can't see it. Like, nobody wants that shit. Come on, dude.
Your eyes have exposure compensation, but phones have exposure compensation. So if you bring it out in direct sunlight, it's super bright, and if you get it out like under the covers in bed, it's all dark and stuff. I don't know why you'd be getting out your phone under covers in bed, but maybe that's just me. Might swerve away from this conversation.
But in the future, things, yeah, we do want settings for color blindness, and we do want settings for being able to set font sizes and so on. But that's still...
Accessibility is a completely offshoot of this, where, yeah, I mean, I think, is it 1 in 12 males have some form of color blindness, and some of the colors we've chosen that don't really work with people that suffer from certain types of color blindness problems.
No, and again, we have all of the different manufacturers and so on, different styles for every ship. So it's like, oh yeah, this ship works great, and then in another one you didn't at all understand that you were dying or whatever.
Well, you know, I blame the manufacturer.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, yes, we're going to put the settings in that will combat that problem. But also accessibility options for changing the font sizes. This obviously has an impact on the sort of graphic design look that we initially have, but essentially it will become usable for people that have issues reading the font sizes.
You shouldn't care how it looks. You need to be accessible so people can enjoy the game.
The manufacturer uses. So yes, yes, and yes again for options to help with people with color blindness, or for font size accessibility options as well.
And in addition to that, like as we start really converting all of the legacy UI into building blocks, our new tech, it's all fully data driven now, so we can just, you know, that makes it much easier to just like transform values where we need to like inject a scaler if
new tech makes it easier. 12 years later,
or lower size fonts, and also colors. It's all data driven, so it makes that much easier.
I feel like
it's not static anymore.
I feel like we've been talking about building blocks since 2018. Maybe we have to stop calling it our new. Just looking at the chat.
What's good about it is we're not talking about building blocks 2. We are happy where we're at with this, right?
Yeah. Building blocks itself has grown. Is basically what you're saying. Yeah. Building blocks continues to evolve. You continue to add new functionality.
We need to like optimize it greatly. There's still a lot of optimization work that we need to do.
That's kind of down to weirdly, it's like a victim of its own success. This happens a lot with our game, where we go, oh, we've optimized like entities, like someone puts 1,000 entities in, and it's running slow. Okay, well, we've made it run twice as quick or whatever. Oh, that's great. We've now put 3,000 entities in, and then, you know, within a couple of years, right, it's now 300,000.
Dude, he is defining the issue that has been Star Citizen the entire time.
1,000 entities in, because it's a battle. Well, battle's a bit negative, but it's it's a virtuous circle. Like we speed things up, you can do more stuff. We speed things up, you can do more stuff. And it's the same with the UI. So we speed building blocks up. We started off with tens of nodes, and now we talk about hundreds of nodes, and we're looking to do thousands of nodes in like a millisecond. So yeah, there's lots of optimizations, but doing the optimizations just means we can do more and more cool stuff, and like lots of little widgets and stuff. And all
more unreadable UI. Let's go.
A virtuous circle. I like that, a virtuous circle.
I've been a bit more positive.
Made Pete laugh.
Do you see Jared point too?
Citizen Scott says, forget readability. I just hate blue. That's what Citizen Scott says. All right. So yeah, so it sounds like, just to...
It's like the orange problem with Elite Dangerous.
It sounds like
they had every opportunity to see Elite Dangerous not allow their players to change the UI, and then players did it anyway.
The biggest factor
on
of
their
many
own
factors is the fact that our UI isn't just drawn on top of the game like it is in so many other games. It is a fully diegetic in-universe component, because that's what we've chosen to do. We've chosen to do that so that all the environmental effects and everything, the things that seem like a bug are actually a feature in some ways. We still need to account for that stuff and still need to dial that in.
So like if you, I can't remember the effect, but like there's a desaturation effect, right, where everything sort of goes black and white and everything goes a bit hazy. Like the UI goes black and white with it, like because it's in world. So like, at that point it loses its color. So it's the same thing. Or there's things where you get this extreme post-process effect. I think it's like when you're too thirsty, whatever the word is for too thirsty.
Dehydrated.
Dehydrated, thank you, yes. Like we get this like really chromatic aberration, and it affects the UI because it's in the world, like you're trying to read your phone and you really need a drink.
Yeah, and as you've seen in
that's a
for the
big
shopping,
problem,
now
obviously.
We moved the UI to be in world as well, and that
not really
just made it
not really not being able to read when you're thirsty, but the other things that he mentioned is like if it's always in world and that's what's causing things to get unreadable all the time and it's constantly changing.
Such a big challenge to implement. It is a tough thing to do. I think that's the bottom line, but we are adamant about this is our way, this is how we do the things, and it should feel real, it should feel tangible, and yeah.
Okay, so fuck us then. Cool.
I think that's the bottom
line. We should
line.
just not ask any more
Revan
questions.
Z
Then I
says,
guess
show us some teasers.
It's our way.
That's the other show.
Fuck us.
So the other
Who
show.
cares?
We just did a whole thing about all this stuff we're talking about. It was
Fuck
on the
'em.
other show. Watch the other show.
Our way, and that's it.
Mobiglass.
Cool.
What other Mobiglass apps can...
And you know what? I appreciate that. It may sound like I hate that. Do your thing, and guess what? People who like it will play the game. People who don't won't, and that'll be that.
We look forward to any hint.
You gotta go at some point. You gotta go with what you want to do. This is one of those situations for them. I don't agree with it, but good for you. Okay.
Hints of integration with something like Spectrum.
So for the Mobiglass, if you've seen the new one anyway, there's some apps that we obviously didn't update. So for the future, we will have that. The comms app will be replaced by something helping you do your org stuff instead, maybe. So that will be playing into a lot of social things, and we'll be updating. Knickknacks will also get, well, it will essentially be replaced
with
by
assets.
a new app coming sometime in the future, but it's going to be a better user experience too.
So this is why everybody was asking me, did I see the show, I think? Was because they just said the word orgs.
Keep track of all of your things. Oh, Jared is going to beat me up now.
You said org stuff. What org stuff?
All the secrets.
What org stuff, Gabriel?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
That's all we want, man. It's been so long.
It
was
has.
Like SysMcon 2013 when we introduced org stuff. It's still not in game.
Well, you heard it here first.
What did I hear? Tell us what we heard.
Orgs, you're gonna have a dedicated app to do all your org communications, and well, there's a lot of things that we have grand plans for, but yeah, I don't want to say more than that at this point.
And what we need to do as a community is probably chill out, because grand plans does not mean those grand plans are going to be in the first iteration of the app ever. So it is straight up going to be, I can type to people in my org, which I got news for you. You could do that now. Do you know how you do that? You invite everyone in your org to a channel, and then you could type to them across servers. You could do it right now. And I guarantee you that's going to be it. That's going to be it.
This isn't the place we're going to...
No, I mean in-game. You could do it in-game now. But
we're going to share them. But yes, folks, you've been patient, I know. Just a little...
But also around all of the 1.0 discussion from the letter from the chairman and the Chad McKinney post, it's obvious that they're having these types of discussions about the things that are really important. Orgs are obviously going to be very close to the top of that list, and building out the current game for those features is going to also be really, really important, right? So it's one of those things where we need that stuff, but in what way are we going to get them? I know, like, 323 is the example of I no longer will have I cannot anymore have an expectation.
Just some point, some indeterminate amount of time longer.
Yeah, they don't mention any detail because they know better.
All right. Is there a plan to avoid HUD clutter? Such as, you know, when all the markers end up overlapping each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we are currently looking into a design for how we want to solve this. So I
think they did a good job with it, honestly. Like, 323 now is way better with that than it was at the beginning.
So a lot of different issues at once, and I think the short answer is just yes, there's a plan. We still have things to figure out, so it's in the future.
I think it's fine.
But we are for sure getting it, and you can already see that we have improved the quantum stuff for 323. Way less quantum markers. You don't get this massive circle of just 100 markers everywhere you look. So that's a start.
Yeah,
so we're
really good start.
Doing things, but it will get better.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask, what caused that, and why did it take so long to resolve? Like we've had the screen surrounded by quantum markers for what seems like at least half of our playable game time here. Well, what took so long, and what caused it, and how do we fix it?
I think I might have caused it.
Sounds about right.
I might have dropped myself in it, but yeah, we talked about show all the points of interest. We show all the points of interest. It turns out there's a lot of interesting points in the universe. Yeah, it was about...
It should probably be show points of interest in which are this distance from you or something, right? Within a certain distance should be the thing.
Right? So filtering what you want was really tricky. So it just didn't happen for a long time. So because you can't filter by distance, because you obviously want to go to places far away.
You can, though, I think. I think because you use your star map if you want to go to things far away. Right?
Yeah, it was an extremely tricky problem to solve.
They probably tried that. Maybe I'm wrong.
And it's taken this long to actually get to a usable solution. Like when we talk about the markers, like we've had long discussions about, well, let's merge markers together when they start overlapping. Right? So, well, do you have enough information? You know, if you merge
interesting.
One of your friends with a planet, right? Yeah. Like, do you get the information about that kind of stuff? Like, yes, it's not. You don't have the information when you just get a blob of overlapping text. That's no good, right? So how do you know, do you make them avoid each other, or do you make them like, hey, your friend's here and also there's a planet here? How do you describe that as a bit of UI? It's all deeply tricky problems to solve in a sort of systemic way.
Friend's
Everything needs to
name
be systemic. We can't just say,
on
oh,
planet,
right, here's
maybe?
just the rule set, because the rule set is endlessly complicated because we have an endlessly complicated game.
Yeah, no, you hit it right there. That's actually you've said the thing I didn't know what I was waiting to hear, but you said it.
One thing that we saw in Evo, but I've never seen since, and I mentioned it during like my Evo like wrap ups or whatever that I was doing on the main channel, was on the like in a circle, like a half circle on the side of the HUD. When you zoomed out of the map view into the space view, you would see party markers, but they wouldn't be party markers. They would just be little circles with a colorful outline: blue, red, orange, yellow, magenta, all different colors for all the different party members. And they would, hi Lola, and they would you can wave over them and then see who those people were. So then if Jared was in my party, he would be that color of like magenta that's behind him, let's say. And I would always know that that's Jared. So when I see the magenta party marker, oh, I want to go to Jared or whatever. I thought that was a really good solution. It doesn't seem to be working anymore. But yeah.
Systemic solutions
that was there
are what take so long. Like, it would be easy enough to go in there and stick a proverbial patch on something and just stop it, stop it temporarily. But everybody knows the most permanent solution the most permanent thing in any video game is a temporary solution, and it would end up just blocking and breaking a bunch of things down the line. It's, we always look for these broader systemic solutions that can keep solving these problems as we add new things.
And when we don't, we always get tripped up. Like if we sort of cheat, like saying, oh, well, let's just, and come up with some budgie rule, right? We always get tripped up by it because something else comes along. And again, when I've worked on more traditional video games, let's say driving games, like you would only like draw away. If you were going to draw the world, you only have to draw enough of the world away from the track. Whereas in Star Citizen, you can go anywhere and all these things interact with each other in a systemic way. You have to find a solution that works correctly all the time. And yeah, we've really made a challenge for ourselves to do that.
Yeah, but we are working on it.
Love it though.
I think if you ask the same question about other things, why it's been there and taking so long, and it's been there for years, it's because it's an old system. We don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's a waste of time.
Flash.
Because we have this new system that we're working on, and all the focus ideally should be directed towards that. We're in the middle of development.
And for this question specifically, like the marker system has now been
like those things. I think it's totally fine to be like, we're in the middle of development, it's an alpha. The like, why did it take so long to fix this like minor, like kind of annoying thing, but not really super problematic thing, like a game playability thing? Well, now we're coming up to the point where like the game playability actually matters, where it never really did back then. It should have mattered more, but it didn't, because there was still no game. They're kind of trying to make the game now, and now those things seem to be more of a focus instead of, well, the other UI stuff.
We have a new marker system, so it's no longer in Flash. We can actually start looking into this. We now know exactly how things are done, and we have we have our best men at it.
The bearded blink in chat says search bars and scrollable chat. Anything, search bars and scrollable chat?
Scrollable chat, for sure.
Scrollable chat's always been a thing.
That's a thing. That's in 323, as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but yeah. And search bars in general, we're for most new designs, we're looking at adding search functionality.
Cool.
Emily, I don't know, you did some stuff for the star map.
Yeah, the star map has search.
And it's awesome.
Cool.
I mean, I know the chat was just, we basically just reskinned the chat, but I think the long-term plan is to overhaul that
The
system.
chat
as
has
well.
some changes. I think
Yeah.
there's some changes to the chat. I worked on like a very early version of it to have like different tabs. I assume that.
Yeah. The new chat is very nice to use. I think people are going to be very happy with that, but it will also be improved down the line.
The content of the chat notwithstanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't
That's up to you people.
I like the guy on the bottom right. He's
Arc
funny.
VR says, FPS compass needs help. Let's talk to about our next question. The new latitude, longitude, altitude readout in the map is amazing. Although altitude is given as a distance from the center of the planet, and latitudes are inverted from the North Pole at the bottom, the compass is pointing towards a point at the equator, not to any of the poles. Is this an intentional choice to confuse us, or is the North Pole merely on a temporary summer vacation?
Sounds like our job is done there, right? No?
I think even the question explains some complexities.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have a new design for this stuff, and it's been simmering in the background, but it's not been the top priority thing when we're looking at bringing all these new cool features. Like obviously we now
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be right now. Look at all the
compass
other
strip on the HUD
stuff.
and everything, but there's still tuning to do, and yes.
You got Star Map and the interaction UIs and all those other things. So I can understand them choosing those as a priority over the compass for now. Again, 323 players seem to think that it's supposed to be like supremely playable and completely perfect, which is just a silly take to have. And they chose to not work on that one. And the thing is you just have to keep their feet to the fire. And if they don't do it in 323.1, 323.2, 324, 325, whenever, if you don't see it, you should get louder and louder and louder, because it needs to be a thing that works. It absolutely needs to be a thing that works.
All of those things are the goal. That's the end goal. Like we have decisions have been made on
you think
how
server
this
meshing
should
is
be
coming?
implemented, but they have
Okay,
not.
GW.
We're not just supposed to have a beautiful mind to figure this thing out.
Well, so far, but not forever.
Okay. Why does the circular quick interact menu, I think it's PyPis, why does the circular quick interact menu look so different to all the other UI elements?
That's a good question.
We didn't have time. I think that's the bottom line.
Isn't this because it's not effectively in-world, right?
Well, I also think it's that we didn't have time.
It's in your head.
Yeah.
Not your head.
It is in your head, but it didn't. We do have a new restyle version of it.
Yeah.
So I think my suspicion is that since we do have the style mock-up, hopefully we'll get that style in game. It should fit with the other UI. That's.
But you do make a good point. It is, we just got done talking about all of these diegetic in-universe elements, but the personal interaction system is not. That is actually a visualization, a sci-fi visualization of a choice matrix in your head. So, like, I suppose it should look different.
Yeah,
but
makes sense. Maybe it doesn't have a.
It doesn't read that way though. It doesn't read that way to the player at all.
Brand, at least. My mind is branded.
I didn't realize that was the case until they said it in this show. Right? And neither did the question asker.
By ages.
Oh, now I'm thinking.
I thought it was kind of part of the Mobiglass experience a little bit, or the visor, or whatever, you know?
Are there plans to make the UI UX of the cockpit view be as good as the external Starship view?
So, this is someone being a bit funny, I think. The external Starship view has no UI at all.
I was going to say.
It's very... that's it. But I don't think there's a plan to do that. We won't go that far, but we are working on the HUD experience for ships for sure. That's a big one.
We've seen it at CitizenCon. It looks really good.
It's going to be cleaner.
Much cleaner.
And we're going to add more options for people to turn off things that they don't want
And turn
to
on things that you
bother them
do.
when they're
We know all this
flying
already.
around.
Nothing
Also,
new here.
just looking at the new flight mode that we're getting in 323, it's a very clean experience. It's very nice to just fly around in flight mode and enjoy that. So that's not quantum, because then you get the markers still. Less markers than before, but then you can go into flight and just
Flight mode's been an
do the
improvement,
thing.
I'd say, for sure.
It's clean. It's nice.
I'm glad you figured it out. I was sitting there, I'm like, there is no UI in the thing. What is he talking about? and Gabriel's like, he's trolling. Of course you don't.
So I was thinking the other way around, which is, can you see the UI from outside the ships? Which we're also... No, we are.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not diegetic.
No, as in you can see through the cockpit and see, if someone's flying a ship and you're like EVAing behind them, you can see their UI, right?
Oh,
Like
that
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Because that's like being on the bridge of a ship, right? You can walk around and see what people are doing on their various consoles and stuff. So you
Very
can
important.
EVA and like
take a sneak peek.
check out what you're doing.
Yeah,
like,
what you're doing there on your mobiGlas.
Yeah.
I see you writing those messages.
Yeah, that's not, again, that is the take it to the point of realism and bring it back to the point of playability. Watch it, like, I think Pirates used to do this. I don't know if we should allow this or not. I just think piracy should be a little bit easier to participate in, so you don't have to do this. But like, Pirates would go to the refinery decks, and then they would watch players and see what they were putting into their ships, like what kind of ore they were putting into their ships to sell, and then pirate them if the ore was valuable and stuff. Like, it was actually quite funny. So like, that is a really cool sandboxy thing. Like, yeah, it could be considered really good or really bad. I'm not sure where I sit on this one. I'm like kind of on the fence with it because it's hilariously funny and is interesting emerging gameplay, but there's no way for the player to cover their screen, right? There's no way for the player to cover their screen. There's no way for the player to protect themselves from that. So I don't necessarily like that as the way it was working currently. Yeah, only open your mobiGlas if you're alone. Okay. So in a game that is increasing its player count and we want more and more players around, I don't feel that that's a good solution, right? I feel like if you're going to pirate players, it should be, maybe you don't have to go to that extent to figure out what they're doing, right? So yeah, I think the difficulty of piracy should be the kind of the wrangling of somebody instead of the, you know, that aspect of it. I don't know. That's just my feelings on it, but yeah.
Moby.
Okay, we got time for a few more questions. Will planets in the star map be an actual render from the real ones, as in zoom in on any location and be able to some degree, see the terrain as it is on the real planet?
Yes, this is something that I really want to do. And it's basically a, yeah, I mean, we should have like
That's
a
crazy.
planet view. You know, I think I would, and it's basically like, almost like Google Earth. You can scroll in and see any portion of the terrain. And
yeah, like, you want pirates to be full-blown social engineers if they want to be, but it shouldn't be the way that you do it, right? That's
you
what I'm
might
trying
not
to say.
see
But this
all
is
of
cool
the, like,
if they
things
can
that
do
you
this.
discovered, right? Like off the bat, you can see the base terrain, but like as you know, find things, derelicts and caves and mining resources and things like that, then they'll start showing up kind of along with that and integrated into that map. And it's also probably also going to tie into the landing stuff as well. So, you know, you want to be able to see terrain as well. So we got to make that work with the map system.
Okay.
I love the idea of the map
current-
uncovering as you explore as well.
The current animation.
I look forward to the day that we log into the Stanton system and we know where, like, the cities are. And that's, like, kind of it. Or something to that extent. Maybe not just that, but you know what I mean? Like, we know a lot less than we know now. And it's about taking missions and doing, you know?
for opening the mobiGlas is rather slow. I was trying to think of the whole thing. Now that we have great things like interior maps, is there a potential to quickly check Mobi where you are instead of having to wait for your character to raise their arm, push the button, have it pop up, and such? Has there been any thought or consideration about speeding that process up?
Nope,
We've got
it's
the
diegetic.
mobiGlas,
It's
I
in
think,
world.
and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, that animation has been there for...
Yeah, it's a really old animation. We've updated the UI, but we need to also update the animation at some point. It's probably something that we're going to be in discussion with the technical animators about, like how exactly.
Yeah,
that
and that's
should
more
work.
of a 1.0 type
We probably
thing.
want like a minimum time spec. So like, you know, make it look good as long as it's under X seconds. So it should be pretty quick. But we just need to update that because it's just basically like this. Right, so it's got to feel more organic. Our whole thing is like you just got to make it feel diegetic in the world and grounded in the world.
Like how you check your watch.
And you might as well just put it in 2D at that point. So that animation needs to be updated, but it's going to require some work from the coordination with the some other teams to do that.
Yeah, it's very, yes. Papa Zuzu in chat says it's very Pip-Boy like. But we have phones today that have gesture controls and stuff like.
Yeah.
Like, the question. I think the first question, there it is when you pull it up, would you actually have to hit a button or can it tell like, hey, I'm doing this? I'm not a shield maiden. I'm trying to get my mobiGlas. So could it just pop up? With that, does it need to have the push? Those questions that are probably to be discussed and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think facial recognition that's not going to exist in 900 years in the future. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, there's probably room to speed that up. But
every time you sneeze, the mobiGlas comes up. Yeah.
Not making promises that we're going to speed up. He's saying we're going to look into it, and it probably it's due for some review.
Yeah, I definitely think that's like a thing that you do when you're cleaning everything up for 1.0.
I don't know why I switched back to you.
So like 3 years from now.
Anyway, switch back to me. Why does pathfinding not work between several rooms or even several planets?
This is actually one of the things that I fixed recently. You couldn't route between zones. I had it working initially, but it turned out that it didn't work on a server environment because, again, things aren't streamed in and those entities that I need, those transit entities don't necessarily exist. So we do have a temporary solution for that. So it should work so long as those zones that you need to route between are streamed in. But there's a longer term plan to make that work totally regardless and much more reliably.
Right, so server meshing problems.
I think they're doing a transit refactor.
Yeah.
So there's some dependencies as well.
DJ, transit refactor. Let's go.
So it is the routing in the last couple of months has gotten a lot more robust. So it's a lot more reliable, but there's still quite a ways to go. And I'm kind of at the point where I'm kind of starting to depend on some other systems, and I got to wait until they're further along, and then that's going to benefit the map because it uses AI, and then if that doesn't find a path, then it's got to use transit. So those are two different sort of systems that are being developed, at least for the interior map. I don't know if you can comment on the star map routing. But.
Yeah, I mean the star map routing. I know we want to refactor that as well because. There are some issues at the moment, obviously, because you set a route and then you go there and it's moved since then, so it blocks things, and that gets really frustrating.
Yep.
So we obviously need to...
That is the first thing you should have done. And if there is anything to be critical about these people, maybe not these specific people, but this situation with 323 is this is the same issue we've had the entire fucking time. And when everybody wanted the star map rework, this is what they were actually talking about, I think. Yes, it's visually more pleasing, but it doesn't function still. You still have the same routing issues. People wanted the routing issues fixed. People wanted I've spooled up, I press B and I go, well, I guess left click now. And I go and nothing happens bugs. Like these things are still there and you never went and fixed them. Again, I don't think that's her job to fix this stuff. We're not saying it to any of these people here. It's just like, if you know you're redoing the star map, you have to reshift the priorities to make the star map actually fucking work with it. Because then these guys get shit on for just doing visual updates and not actually fixing the game. Like, what the hell, man? You know, like, everybody, this was the most anticipated feature, not because it wasn't pretty. It was the most anticipated feature because it didn't fucking work. That was the thing.
Looking to ways to handle that
doesn't
in the future, so that whenever you go anywhere, your route always exists and you can always do it and you don't have to like reset it and all of this. So yeah, there's a lot of work still to be done on that.
But when it comes specifically to...
And if the thing is if you're waiting for server technology, that's cool. That the way they communicate, like, and that's probably the case, right? 100%. But the way they communicated it to the backers was not that way. It was not that way.
It's also a bit of design, right? It's a decision was made that you can route from your ship because it's the hardware in the ship doing the routing. But from seeing feedback, like discussions have been started. Like,
no, you should be routing from your character.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the future with this one. Might be something that we want to implement where people can do it from the surfaces of planets and so on.
That's
I think like the
absolutely
main
how
reason
it
it's in the
how
ship
it
at
should
the
be.
moment is because the system is tied to like checking whether you have enough fuel, right? And if you don't have that ship available, it doesn't know whether you have that fuel. So we need to like account for that and consider that if we're going to allow you to do that from just standing anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, because again, I'm not a game dev. I don't know anything about this, but you should be able to choose a route before you're in the vehicle. And the vehicle should then, like, once you get into the seat or something, like maybe a little bit of a recheck or something like that, like, again, don't know if that's possible on the fuel things, and then a warning or something like that. But you should be able to route from anywhere. You should be able to route to anywhere, from anywhere, at any time. Because, I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Or maybe in the routing, you choose the ship that you have, you know, or something like that. I don't know. That would be a little few too many buttons. But, yeah, I just think I absolutely agree. And I think that's them gathering player feedback and going, you know what? I think they're right on this one, and it's going to be difficult, but we're going to figure out a solution for it. And those are the kind of things that I love these shows for. This is what this game is all about, and things like that. Is that necessary? I think it is. Yeah, actually, I do think it is, because when you get in your ship, you tend to be more vulnerable, and when you're in your mobi-glass, you're incredibly vulnerable, right? When you're in your ship. If you do your routing before you ever get there, if you're making your decision while you're meeting with your friends on where you're going, share all that stuff, everybody gets in their ships and then they go. Big raid from Blue Haze. Thank you so much. We're just finishing up SCL here. So thanks for stopping by, guys. Also, we got the Golden Kappa thing today, which is pretty crazy. So welcome, everybody. And yeah, we're just kind of complaining about Star Citizen UI. Welcome.
For the folks in the chat that are picking up on Transit Refactor, it's not anything super sexy or amazing. Just consider that when server meshing, and you have to be able to divide all these areas into different servers, and that includes sometimes landing zones. If you guys
and it's that Transit has not worked for years correctly is the other thing,
decide
right?
to go to one and stuff.
Welcome, guys.
And trains need to work across servers. It's just some code stuff.
Hey, Mike, several of my community members are getting into Star Citizen. Thought I would send them your way. Well, welcome, everybody. Feel free to ask any questions. I am pretty critical of the project, and I love the game. If you're getting into it, just be careful. A lot still to be done.
Like, I'm on to everything. I'm say that Transit Refactor. It's like just some underlying tech stuff.
Just code stuff.
Yep. Will there be a means of locating our ships further out than just 20 kilometers away from us? Either the current ship that we have, or former ships, lost ships, wrecks, ships we had to abandon.
Oh, are they asking
this
about
easier
ping?
way to find our litter, I suppose, what they're asking.
Yeah, so what happens now is really that the ship will stream out when you don't see it, when it's behind something. Maybe it's just too far away, different situations will stream it out anyway, and then it gets harder to find. I'm not sure how the data is stored and so on, but I think that's like we could store that position that the ship had when you left it, but obviously then someone could take it and you wouldn't know because it's streamed out on your end. So the
That's a
bottom
bit of a
line
challenge.
is
Yeah.
in the future this is something that we would want, because with a lot of changes that we're getting in for future patches, it's going to make sense to keep track of more of these things. So yeah, but currently it's
Yeah, I mean, if we look back to what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, long distance scanning, there's no way that feature could work in the current way that they do things, you know? I was Kickstarter pledged 12 years ago, only played it for the first time a couple weeks ago, having a lot of fun with the rest of the SC crew and Blues community. Yeah, dude, you're going to have a lot of fun for a while, but then you will eventually realize that there's no progression, nothing to do, and it is very much, it is great as a, I bought a ship and I get to go look at it, look really cool, or I get to meet up with my friends, and it is like, it's like a hangout. It's an awesome hangout spot, is Star Citizen. Hang out and talk to your friends. But it is not a like proper video game yet. I'm a person who needs that proper video game. So you're always going to hear me clamoring for that, where you might be enjoying the game incredibly because of the social experiences that you get from it. I don't enjoy, I'm not a very social butterfly, so I don't enjoy that stuff very much. And I'm way more into the watch progress bar go up gameplay, and I don't have much of that. So
it's a short distance thing, but you can do it. You do have it now on the Mobi. You locate your ship.
I am way more that kind of person, so yeah.
We got time for just 2 more questions here. First one's about widescreen, ultra widescreen, weird aspect ratios. That's obviously, it's no secret that the Star Citizen community tend to be early adopters of a lot of different tech, you know, VR and stuff like that. So there's a lot of folks who have super insano wide monitors that wrap around them and stuff. What can you tell them about any support, any work being done to help alleviate some of the weirdness that happens when they
I
have
thought
these
Sylvan addressed that, right?
I suppose the most straightforward answer is the slider. The slider which goes from the standard 16:9 aspect ratio that you'd get on a 1 regular monitor, and then you can slide it to whatever aspect ratio you're running at. So if you've got 3 monitors, you're going to be 48:9 effectively, right? So if you've got the corner pieces like the interior map or and the thing in the top right and the health bar, you could effectively put them right to the corners of monitor 1 and monitor 3 and like be like this all the time. But it's on a slider, so you can choose somewhere between 16:9 and have it like on your center monitor if you've got a 16:9 monitor, and then move it all the way out to
That's kind of cool.
many monitors you have. Or if you've got like a 21:9, it's probably just going to be a small change, but it's user defined, that thing.
Yeah,
They want to make it user defined, so you put it where you want it.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of cool.
The last question I want to add is this is one of those forever questions. I'm looking at the
That
list
is,
here,
do we have that now, the UI adjustment slider in the graphics tab?
and there's at least 3 I'm
Does it
looking at that
function?
are all the same thing here.
Hey, Gungzilla.
Customizability. It's we talked about, you know, readability issues. We talked about accessibility issues.
It's in 323,
we
but
talked
only for
about the one
widescreen.
guy who just
Cool.
didn't like blue. What about the ability to? I don't want my mini map up there. I want my mini map over there. I want how. Our answer to this has changed over the years. I've been here long enough and followed the project even before that to know that our answer has changed as different regimes have come in, as different schools of thought have come in, as we've learned more about
There's been
how
regimes.
diegetic we want to make things, which limits certain options. So I'd like to get the answer today, or today's version of this answer. And it's only today's version, you know, keeping in mind that we are a game that is continuously evolving, continuously in development stuff, and the answer may change later on. But what's our thoughts today about the possibility of customization, being able to move these widgets wherever we want and stuff?
So before Gabrielle replies, I'll just sort of give you my opinion, which is this is sort of our first drop of, obviously we're going to do the vehicles as well, but we've got the first drop of the new visor and lens layouts. And what we want to do is make that as good as possible for everyone as much as possible, right? So in an ideal world, you'd want nobody to want to customize it because it's perfect. But we don't live in an ideal world.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're open to design decisions from there, I suppose. But ideally we get to a position where the design's good for absolute majority.
What was the old answer? To stay the same,
not like
the way it is. Not
people
allow
going,
us to
I
change
just
it.
hate this thing. I want to turn off the interior map, or I want to turn off my health bar or whatever.
How about, like, I don't have that good of a computer. I would love to turn off the interior map because it's lowering my frame rate or something. Like, even stuff like that.
If the health bar is not as intrusive, or health bar, I'm just paraphrasing, but you have a thing that just comes on and just notifies you something and goes off, then maybe it's not so intrusive that you go, I must turn this thing off. If we get as much right, then you sort of reduce the need for that much customization.
Yeah.
But presumably the customization question is still open-ended.
Yeah, I guess to a degree, right? Because I fully agree. Like, we are working on this UI actively. This is always improving, and we are making it as good as we can. But bottom line is, it's always nice with customizability, and I think that would be, again, for the far-flung future, really.
I feel like sometimes so many artists like decide the decision-making of this game that it needs to be this way, and it's like, brother, we're playing a video game. Just let the players choose. It doesn't matter what it looks like on our screen. We're the ones that are... It is no longer in your hands. It is not a piece of art. It is a video game. It can be a piece of art at times, but...
We need to
I think there's been too many decisions where they have the power.
Best.
That's what
and
it's
then
always
we can
felt
start
like.
Looking into, okay, now it's worth giving people the power, because we've done our best now, and let's allow them, and also let's allow ourselves to take the time to look into something like this, because
we should have always had the power to make our experience as good as possible, right?
It's also
which is equal on this sort of accessibility options as well. If you get it right, then hopefully a lot of the accessibility issues are not as strong. But we will have all these accessibility options for changing the text height and stuff. But it takes you away from the best version. But you might make it more usable for certain individuals.
But there's certain aspects, like turning the minimap on or off. Like, people, you want to allow for that, because maybe you don't want to see the map all the time. You want to use the signs. You kind of want to play more of like you want to let yourself.
You ever play DayZ or ever watch somebody? The channels that I watch, they turn off the UI in DayZ completely. And DayZ is like old as fuck, doesn't look that awesome, but man, it looks awesome because it's so immersive at that point. It is so good. You are just watching somebody experience the world of that game, and it makes it look so much better. I've never played The Forest. I have it, but I never played it. I meant to play it a while ago.
The environment without tools.
Or Green Hell, I'm maybe thinking of.
In a way, going off in a forest or something.
It's just,
but
that's
having
awesome.
that there, at least, like initially, that allows us to kind of gather.
Oh, you meant The Forest in DayZ,
a lot of the testing. Like, is it going to break on a specific machine or a setup? And
oh, cool, BB.
So we can gather more data initially, and then we can figure out maybe like a hardcore mode for the HUD, like where you don't have certain things. It's just wipe everything away.
Yeah, you don't need a hardcore mode. Just give us a button to turn it off, guys. It's pretty simple. Give us the option to cater our experiences ourselves. Like, We keep talking about sandboxy things. It's just a button. It's just a button to turn something off. Doesn't mean we hate your work. Just in some situations, it might be cool to not have it. That's all.
Yeah,
But-
turning things off is certainly something that's going to be easy.
I feel like I would want to play under that mode.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a lot
Exactly.
easier to turn the minimap on off than it was to write it in the first place.
Yeah.
All right, well, folks,
There you go.
that's
They
it.
seem
You
kind of
survived.
willing to do it
You
then.
did
That's
another,
cool.
Star Citizen Live. Thank you so much.
A
for
game
taking
about
the time
immersion.
To be here.
Imagine
at the
making
end
it
of the week
immersive.
and talk to us and answer folks' questions. Hold on, let me do one more. Hi, look at that. Look at that. I'm just playing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We're just do a little. Hi. Oh, look, I'm in 2 places. I'm just gonna leave it here because I'm just. What am I doing? Oh, I'm editing the show. I looked over there. The person who usually tells me what I'm doing, they're not there. So yeah, that's it. That's this week's show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. If you haven't, check out yesterday's ISE. It was a great look at some of the new Arena Commander features that are also coming their way in the upcoming Alpha 323. Next week's shows are
This is so weird. Ooh, what's next week?
patch dependent. Next week's shows are will be one thing or it'll be another thing depending on if 323 goes to live or not.
Okay.
So keep your eye on the
So it's a Xeno thread if it goes live, probably, or something.
RobertSpaceInitiatives.com website to learn more about that, about any announcements or whatever for that. For this week's show, thank you to, I got to do this way, there we go. Thank you to Bone, to Gabriel, to Emily, to Zane for taking the time to be here on the show. Thank you to Pete for changing my batteries out in the middle of the show. We knew we were going to get Pete on the show at some point. Today was the day. And then, of course, thank you guys for watching us and keep coming back and keep
A
supporting
ship ad
us and
show?
stuff.
I don't think it's a ship ad show because the patch will not have the sale in it.
I don't know,
Unless there's a
I'm butting
pre-sale.
crazy now here.
before-
What's this one? It was just, can I do Bone? Let me see if I can do Bone's head on my. There we go. No. Okay, no. Thanks, everybody.
Is it over
Take
yet?
care. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
It's over. Thank goodness.
They're never gonna let me do this again.
Nope. And they probably shouldn't. That was okay. It's just I can't listen to UI discussions for the 5th time in a row with Star Citizen. It's I look forward to whatever the next patch is at this point. And that'll be the .1 or .2 or whatever. Even if it's a ship sale, I swear I'm more interested in that than I am in these UI discussions at this point. They have beat them to death at this point. So yeah, I'm a bit over it. But I think we got some cool answers. They are definitely at least talking about org stuff now, which is a first. So that is exciting. They seem to be very open to our feedback. Also kind of cool. And obviously markers are a thing, but I don't think they're a thing that we should be looking forward to anytime soon. It sounds like all the good stuff sounds post-server meshing to me, and kind of makes sense. So let's keep an eye. Here's the big deal for me. Post 323, I guess, coming out of the PTU, I think the next expectation is to start seeing more server meshing playtests, and that's when I think we can start getting excited or not excited about certain things. I think that'll be pretty cool, just to be like, yeah, they made improvements on this, it's coming soon, or damn, they didn't make improvements on this, we're screwed. So I think that's kind of the next big milestone for the near future.